There are some lies in our science books. Taught it for 15 years. Even though I'm not teaching it anymore, I still like to study. It's so many neat things to learn. We're going to cover some of that tonight.
Perception is being managed. We are being steered and guided by a hidden hand.
The whole world has been duped by the media that is not real.
Smart thinking, possible time traveler, smart thinking.
That night, boom, contact memory.
And then Alex, if you don't agree, you'll be sent to a re-education camp.
Just because I'm old doesn't mean I've lost my touch with the ladies.
A lot of people here tonight felt like they lost. You know why?
Now, experts are suggesting that we're in a golden age of shape-shifting reptilian sightings. Now, why is that?
I was, and still am, a huge conspiracy guy. I literally ran out of new tin hat topics to research.
It was most definitely not capable of melting steel.
Then I would be a crackpot if I thought that was the case.
Welcome to the Hypothetical Institute, a podcast about conspiracies.
My name is Luke.
I'm Salty. I'm Cam. Gents, how are we?
Good? I'm good. Really good.
Yeah, really good?
Yeah, why not? Sunny day out.
Really good. I thought you might be in mourning. We lost some big figures in the world of conspiros this week.
Yep.
We saw, well, firstly, we're not going to talk about this at all on the podcast, but the passing of Prince Leonard of Hutt. Are you familiar with his work?
I'm not familiar with Prince Leonard of Hutt.
He's less a conspiracio and more
Is he related to Pizza the Hut?
More
Spaceballs?
Fringe political figure. He was a sheep farmer in Western Australia.
Okay.
And he, ironically, had to start his own country.
Oh, I did hear about this bloke.
In order to achieve the great Australian dream of maximum tax avoidance.
Right. Cool.
He did it. He did the most Aussie thing you can possibly do, not pay any of your tax.
It's kind of a...
But he had to give up his Australianness to do it.
Right. What was his country called?
I think it was the Hutt River Province.
Right.
Good name for a country.
And they have their own passport. They have their own currency. Currently their borders are closed.
Right.
As they're in a period of mourning.
So they have protocol for this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they must have.
I guess you could just make it up on the fly as well.
Is the Hutt River a river that he's renamed?
I think it was a river that was already there.
Okay. So is he living on like his family's land or something, or?
Yeah, so they owned the land, but he objected to having to pay taxes for sheep money or whatever.
Right.
At one point, the government sort of accidentally acknowledged their right to be their own country in some bit of paperwork, and they really seized on that. I think he's left his family with like a huge tax bill.
Yeah. And are they not just going to carry on the tradition though and be like, well, fuck your tax bill because we're our own country?
I hope so.
There is some good reading to be done about people that have started their own countries. The abandoned oil platform country is a pretty good one.
Oh, yeah.
I think you can become a citizen of that.
Right.
Pretty easily. It's been a while since I've looked it up, but I read about them one time.
But today we're not talking about micronations and Prince Leonard. We're talking about another figure of fringe politics who passed away this week, Lyndon LaRouche, who died at the age of 96.
Good innings.
Yeah, 4 short of a century.
Yeah.
Not quite a ton.
It's all right innings.
Yeah.
If some of our current Australian cricket team were putting in innings as of 96, I think there wouldn't be any complaints.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair assessment of the current Australian cricket team.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. Good cricket gear, boys.
Thank you. So, Lyndon LaRouche was a major figure on the American conspiratorial right. He also played something of a role in Australian fringe politics, having started an offshoot of his group over here that contests many an election.
He personally started it?
It's a group based on his teachings that reported directly to him in the States.
Okay.
So is he like some sort of cult leader, follower type person?
He was a little bit of a cult leader. It was a sneaky little bit of a cult.
Right.
But, yeah, he's someone that I think people might be a bit aware of. There's a punchline in one of the old Simpsons Treehouse of Horror eps where Homer is watching the aliens convert Bob Dole and Bill Clinton into body clones.
Oh no. Aliens, bioduplication, nude conspiracies. Oh my god, Lyndon LaRouche was right.
I think a lot of people have probably heard Lyndon LaRouche's name from that. And then maybe they've seen Lyndon LaRouche people in the city with their stalls. They're often spotted.
I've never heard of any of this or seen them.
Nah, me either.
I've seen the Green Left, Falun Gong.
Yep.
Yeah,
Others.
I see those a lot.
Never seen. I have to keep an
They
eye.
might have been in the others category.
Yeah, they'll be in the others category.
They often have a lot of stuff about 9/11 these days.
Oh, okay.
Lots of stuff about banks. Shall we talk about who Lyndon LaRouche was, though?
Yeah, so this is all Lyndon LaRouche, double L, all episode.
Yeah. To find out who Lyndon LaRouche was, I did watch a bit of Jesse Ventura's Off the Grid.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I think it's a show he does on RT,
Right.
Russia Today.
Do you see the body?
The body of...
Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yes, Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah.
So I thought you said, did you see the body?
No.
I was like, wait, is there a dead body we can go see?
No.
Are we going to fucking learn about ourselves? Grow close for his friends. Can flick leeches off our dicks.
Tell you what, if I come across a dead body ever,
Yeah.
I would call you two guys.
First?
Yep.
Okay. And then we'll take a...
Want to come see a dead body?
Thanks, Salty.
And you come watch it.
I have some really good campfire stories that I've been waiting to tell, so...
Okay.
And then at the coroner's inquest, it's like, so why did you wait 5 hours before you reported this to the police? Don't have a good answer for that.
We had to run across a train bridge.
So...
Stand by me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Robbo.
That's the movie they go see a dead body in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think our listeners...
Did they also do it in It? Did the kids in It see a dead body?
They see lots of dead bodies.
Well, not the
They don't go
slaughtered
looking
ones.
for one.
No.
Boys in the Hood, they go check out a dead body.
Yep.
Anyway.
Don't be a menace to South Central while drinking juice in the hood. Probably does the same thing. Anyway. Jesse the Body Ventura.
Jesse the Body Ventura, not did you see the Body Ventura?
Yeah.
On his show Off the Grid on Russia Today, he had Lyndon LaRouche on. This would have been 4 years ago because they mentioned that he's 92. He died at the age of 96. A little bit of quick maths there.
Yeah.
Not married at first sight maths.
No.
So Jesse the Body Ventura begins the interview. He says, Mr. LaRouche, when I was a wrestler back in the 80s...
Yep. Sergeant Slaughter.
I used to fly...
Wasn't Sergeant Slaughter?
Wasn't he?
No.
Was that another guy?
That was Sergeant Slaughter.
Was that not just one of his personas?
No.
I used to fly...
I thought that was the same guy. They had the same moustache, right?
Yeah, look, thinking about it, I could see why.
Yeah.
I think Sergeant Slaughter was much taller.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to criticise these interruptions because they allowed me to get my Jesse Ventura accent better than when it started. I used to fly back and forth across the country at, other... No.
Hogan.
I would take thousands of flights all over the country and I'd go to all of these airports and I'd see these guys with these hats that all said LaRouche. So, Mr. LaRouche, who are you? I'm the cream of the crop.
Is that what he said after that? No? Randy Savage?
Yeah.
So, then Lyndon LaRouche, in response to that question, starts talking. He's like, well, I started out in the 40s as an economist. I've been one of America's foremost economists since the 40s. And then he starts talking about Reagan's Star Wars program.
Right.
And he starts talking about the British Empire and JFK. And it's like, are you senile at this point? Or is this just par for the course?
Yeah, this is just your normal gear.
And after he sort of rambles on for a few minutes, Jesse Ventura says, if I could just interject, you sound like a man who talks a lot of sense.
I would like to commend you on your Jesse the Body Ventura impersonation.
Yeah.
Actually pretty good.
It got there in the end.
Yeah.
So let's rewind.
Yeah. If he was to answer Jesse the Body Ventura's question
in a more more sensible fashion, you might say that Lyndon LaRouche was born in Rochester, New Hampshire, back in the 1920s, back in 1922. So
power number.
Let's skip ahead. I think in the 40s he was a management consultant. Like, yeah, that was his job. He was like, he would advise factory owners on how to, manage their factories. Something like that. Don't quote me on this, on this podcast. In the 60s, he became a Marxist. He was a commie.
Yeah.
And that was all went swimmingly. He's one of the weird cases of someone who went from being quite on the far left to being very much on the far right.
Horseshoe theory in action.
Yeah, sort of. So he started out as a Marxist in the 60s. He formed a group called the National Caucus of Labour Committees. But one thing that they then went on to do in the 70s was, they did a few things that sort of sent them on a journey to other areas of the political spectrum. The first thing they did was they established an intelligence network. So in 1971, he set up this weird network of people all around the world who would send in reports on different things, and they'd put together these packets of information, which were really weird. Apparently, one of the things they do is they just pretend to be journalists from wire services to get interviews with people.
Right.
They had a bunch of magazines. Executive Intelligence Review was one of the main ones. They also put out New Solidarity, Fusion magazine, which I think was all about fusion technology.
Oh.
21st Century...
You just have one issue. It's just
21st Century Science and Technology and Campaigner magazine. It's really complicated how seriously any of this intelligence stuff was taken. They say that they had a lot to do with various people in the CIA and the NSA. Some of those people say, no, I met them a couple of times, but, they were a little bit kooky. And some of them say, it's hard to believe whether after the fact they're downplaying how much they had to do with them. I think they might have had a little bit to do with some of these people.
I guess it's one thing we've learned in so many steps of the way on this podcast is the CIA were many and had their fingers in many pies.
Yeah.
And for them at that time, the more cooked the pie, the more comfy their fingers were in it.
So in their reports, there was a lot of shit. They talked a lot of shit about everyone.
Yeah. Inculk or CIA?
Inculk.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the early 70s, they started getting very sectarian. They started going after a lot of other groups on the left. Quite literally, they started bashing other leftist groups.
Right.
With nunchucks.
Whoa.
Specifically nunchucks?
That was one of the specific weapons. I think they used a lot of different...
Okay.
I don't know what you call that. Sort of a...
flailing weapons?
Bashing
That's a
tools?
flailing weapon.
Bludgeoning weapons?
Yeah, a lot of bludgeoning weapons.
I feel like nunchucks, 70s and 80s, were big.
Yeah.
I feel like they've kind of dropped out of favour lately. My brother had a pair of nunchucks that he told me he made by magic, and he couldn't make me a pair because, I don't know, the magic wouldn't work.
You gullible little prick.
I was 3, and someone turns up with nunchucks. Already they're a superhero. They're a 3-year-old in the 80s.
I
a 3-year-old and you wanted nunchucks.
Of course I did. I mean, I might have been 4. I wasn't at school though.
Right.
So I was pre-5.
I used to work for a guy that would carry nunchucks around in his backpack.
Was it my brother?
And every now and then he'd pull them out in the office and can you just put those back in your bag, thanks?
Did he do nunchuck moves?
I think it was just for road rage purposes.
Right. So he's getting into enough road rage that he wants to be armed.
Yeah.
Jesus.
With nunchucks?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Gotta be funny to just watch someone that doesn't. I imagine they're hard to use if you don't know how to use them.
Yeah, I used to make them a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You'd, like get a broom handle and cut a couple of chunks off and screw some chain, like eye links and chains in and fucking...
You hit yourself in the head a lot?
A couple of times.
Yeah. So imagine that, but you're all angry, you're all steamed.
Yeah.
At someone on a road rage incident.
But, you know, as long as you're learning, mate, you're not failing.
Thank you. So they'd go after the Communist Party, Socialist Workers' Party, Black Power, all of those groups. I think this is why they took a turn to the right, because after you bash enough people on the left, they all hate you.
Yeah.
It's not like you can hang out with them anymore. The other thing they were big in the start of the 70s was a bit of brainwashing. LaRouche got right into psychoanalysis. I think they might have... they got off to a bad start. One of the first blokes that they did a good bit of psychoanalysis on, they did something to him, and they uncovered that someone had implanted a plot to assassinate Lyndon LaRouche into his subconscious.
Well, so they tried to brainwash someone who'd already been brainwashed. Yeah. Some total recall shit.
That's for real?
Well, no one had implanted a plot to assassinate Lyndon LaRouche into his brain. Might have been a case of physician, heal thyself. There's blokes going around trying to psychoanalyze people. Meanwhile, why would anyone want to assassinate Lyndon LaRouche? It's because his ideas are too dangerous, that's why.
Right.
But they uncovered that plot, and then they had to really get brainwashing. There was a guy called Chris White who was a member of the group from England. I think this didn't help the English's cause later on either. But they recorded tapes of them doing something to him, which they sent to the newspapers for some reason. And apparently you can hear on the tapes him pleading and crying and someone saying, turn up the voltage.
Right.
Which I would not send that to the newspaper, but then...
Yeah, that seems like evidence of crimes.
I'm not an economic genius.
Yeah. You're probably not... Yeah.
Also,
maybe they were saying turn up the volume.
Yeah.
Along with the tempo.
Yeah, just pump up the volume. Also in the 70s, so part of the problem with bashing everyone on the left is that eventually you don't have any friends. And so they started hanging out with people a bit more on the right. A few people from like the Liberty Lobby.
Yep.
A few people from a little group you might have heard of called the KKK.
Yep. So Lyndon LaRouche, the Liberty Lobby and the KKK.
Yeah.
Are all hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LL and the LL and the KKK.
Yeah.
Some Superman shit. There's some real weird units involved in this. There was one guy who was... It's just so hard to get a handle on. This is like more of this CIA stuff. There's a guy who they called Mr. Ed, who was supposed to be like their CIA contact, but I think he was just a cooked bloke.
Yeah.
But he's like passing on these messages from the top levels of government to Lyndon LaRouche.
Right.
But he's just some cooked unit. Just like, where does anyone stand in any of this?
They had to, every time he came to them with information, they had to put peanut butter on his gums to make him talk.
Throughout the 70s, starting in the 70s, they started running in elections.
Mm-hmm.
They did have some success in like one election.
Right.
They got a few people like through to the primaries. I think the Democratic primaries.
Right.
Lyndon LaRouche has ran in every presidential election for like the last 20 years.
If you were someone like that, you'd be really pissed off that Donald Trump made it through.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think they came around to be pro-Trump in the end. I think they were early Trump adopters, perhaps.
Yeah, I was listening to some of his supporters' podcasts. They have a regular podcast, and they are 100% in with Trump.
They did initially back someone else, though.
Okay.
There was some, I can't remember who, it was one of the cooked ones that they initially backed, and then as soon as that was over, they saw a winner.
Yeah.
It's weird, actually, because backing Trump is the exact sort of thing that the LaRouche people would do.
Well, they did it.
No, but if he'd lost, it would have been the exact sort of thing that they would do. That they would like attach themselves to this person who was obviously going to lose.
Yeah.
But then history just had its own ideas. In the 80s, they're sort of famous for coming up with the October Surprise conspiracy theory. Ooh. Do you remember the October Surprise?
Remind me.
you remember the Iran hostage crisis?
Yes.
So the October surprise conspiracy theory is that the release of the hostages was delayed to provide maximum benefit to Reagan's election chances. And so they're the ones that came out with that. It's been quite a popular conspiracy theory. It's around this time that a little group in Australia started called the Citizens Electoral Council.
CEC.
So, the CEC started in Queensland. It was weird doing research on this because I looked up the Wikipedia page for the Citizens Electoral Council, and there's a little bit of fake news in there. Because the history of the CEC on there is that they started as this group, and then it says after a failed attempt by the Australian League of Rights to take over the group, the LaRouche people maintained control, which is like the opposite of what actually happened.
Right.
So the CEC was started as to be the political arm of the Australian League of Rights, who are a weird Australian anti-Semitic group. They're Holocaust deniers. They're very big on the Queen. They love the Queen.
Right.
And they started this group. The main aim of it was to bring in citizens-initiated referendums or referenda, which was an idea which has been a bit popular over the years. Some senator tried to bring it back quite recently. The idea is that if you can get enough people to sign a petition about some topic to be brought to a referendum, then they've got to hold a referendum on it.
Oh. Sure.
But you've got to get like some huge amount of people, I think 1% of the population, to sign this petition.
Yeah, right.
But, there's a lot of dumb people in the country.
There are a lot of dumb people.
Yeah.
They voted for... I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that.
They bloody voted for this lot of clowns, didn't they?
Those clowns in Canberra are bloody evidence.
So that was why it started.
Yeah. Hang on, I'm lost. This is why what started? The Citizens Electoral Council?
The Citizens Electoral Council was started to advance this thing.
Yeah.
It was immediately taken over by the LaRouche people.
Yeah, but Citizens Electoral Council were pro-Queen.
Well, they were part of the Australian League of Rights, were very pro-Queen.
Okay.
Then the citizens, the LaRoucheites got involved. Now, the LaRouche people, it has to be said, are very anti-Queen.
That's kind of their whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Hate the Queen.
They hate the Queen. They hate the royals and they hate the British. Now...
all valid stances.
Sure. It's a little less valid. I did see a meme of this today. It was Homer Simpson at the ballot box. And he's saying, I don't like their anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, but I do like their anti-British conspiracy theories. The thing is, though, their anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and their anti-British conspiracy theories are the same.
So, they use British, much like David Icke uses lizard.
Yeah. It's maybe a little bit more complex than that, because, David Icke does mean...
Lizard.
Yeah.
But there have been accusations that he's talking about Jews.
Yeah.
And it's true that he sometimes does talk about Jews, and, he references the Protocols of the Elders of Zion in some of his books. But then he does say, but they were really lizards.
So he's okay going in on Jews.
Yeah.
As long as the Jews end up being lizards.
Yeah.
So the royals are actually Jews, but possibly lizards.
Yeah.
Also, there's an old sort of school of thought in anti-Semitic thinking that the British race has been corrupted by the Jew.
Okay.
And so when he says the British, he does mean the British Jewry.
Yeah.
Right.
Which he considers to be all of British elite society.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a bit tricky. I did see a bit of a discussion on Reddit on r/conspiracy, bit of an argument about whether he secretly meant Jews when he said the British. It was from the perspective of someone saying he was an anti-Semite, but they were coming from the angle that anti-Semitism was good.
Yeah. So they're like, should we be supporting this guy because he's been talking about the Jews all along?
Yeah. And this other guy's like, he's not talking about the Jews, he's talking about the British. And they're like, if you can't see that British means Jews, you got rocks in your head.
Yeah.
And the other guy's like, no, that's what they want you to think. It's like, no, that's what I want to think.
So at what point, I guess, in this new world of Nazis being out in the open, do the LaRouchians just pivot to just saying, all right, Control F, British, replace Jews?
Well, they never really... it's a bit of a weird argument to say that they tried to hide it, because as well, I think they went in with this old school interpretation of the British being Jews, but they never really were backwards about coming forwards for their opinions on Jews either. So the Citizens Electoral Council is formed in Australia. So you do sometimes see them in the city. I've seen them in like small towns as well. They'll have little stalls. They're on Channel 31.
Oh, yeah.
They do the CEC report, which was on after Injustice.
Right.
That is a double banger of a show.
How long does Injustice go for again?
I think it was like a 30-minute, wasn't it?
Okay.
Is it still on?
I haven't seen it on...
Channel 31? Or?
Yeah, the whole channel.
Yeah. Apologies to anybody that has a Channel 31 show. It's a marvellous channel.
Yeah, except for the
cooked.
A bunch of the cooked units they let on it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much everyone with the Channel 31 show, right?
Oh, it's like Pool TV.
Yeah.
So like competitive pool matches.
Oh,
yeah. Fishing TV.
Fishing TV. Hot rods and dingers or whatever it was.
Bloke's World.
Bloke's World. Might see some boobs on that one.
Yeah. Bloke's World used to be really raunchy, and now like it's on Channel 7.
Oh, it was on Channel 7.
And it's just like they just go to racetracks and stuff. Drive cars, and it's like it's way toned down.
So the other place you'll see the CEC, besides occasionally in the CBD, is on your ballot paper, because they run in almost every election. Candidates, they are also quite famous for having some of the highest numbers of donations of any non-Big Two political party.
Right.
I think during the 90s, they were sometimes bringing in more than the Democrats and the Nationals.
Right. Who's donating to them?
That's the question. Salty, where does the money come from?
Yeah.
And is there an implied answer?
There's a few answers. One of the things that they did a few years back was they started a group called the Curtin Labour Alliance. This is a political party called the Curtin Labour Alliance, which Labour wasn't happy about. Because for one thing, it tarnishes the name of John Curtin, but also it sounds very much like it might be somehow associated with the Labour Party.
Yeah.
And I think that the Curtin Labour Alliance might have been quite good for just calling random people up and asking them if they wanted to donate to the Curtin Labour Alliance.
Right.
And, rusted on old Labour retirees being like, yeah, of course I'd love to donate. They ran in WA elections in one election against CEC candidates as well.
Okay.
And then they were deregistered by the appropriate electoral authorities.
Do you think they found the secret hidden Nazi gold train?
That's
where all their money was coming from?
Yeah. I can't think of any other explanation. Because old people are famously hard to trick on the phone.
Yeah.
So there's a few little references out there and various reports on them to maybe a bit of fleecing going on of their membership, who, bear in mind, are getting brainwashed.
Yeah. Wait, is this the CEC or the LaRouche?
This is
CEC.
the CEC. They were into the brainwashing too.
Okay, they got into the brainwashing.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
There was a few reports of people who joined and their family members come to collect them and they won't even talk to them.
Right.
It's very much cult tactics.
So these people are just pumping around, hanging out in the city, small towns.
Yeah.
Scientology around small towns and cities doing brainwashing. I don't like the risk these days that I'm just going to take a flyer and end up brainwashed.
Yeah.
The risks sound like they're increasing every day.
You're a huge target
Prime
for it.
candidate.
Yeah.
If I was going to brainwash anyone.
Yeah. Brainwash you.
Yeah.
Also, once you've brainwashed Robbo, you've got the whole bloody beer community in palm your hand, don't you?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if Robbo started writing these beer articles that were just luring people into his world of...
Transitioned into some sort of hero or some sort of icon, cult leader. I'll say cult leader, don't say hero. They're on to me. They're looking at me funny.
So they did that. A lot of money coming in. No one's actually really quite sure where it comes from. I did hear a room once that they had like boiler rooms of people calling up random people for like old school boiler room calling.
Surely they outsource that now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a few articles actually recently about people complaining that they were getting emails from them when they'd never had any contact with them. So they're out there buying like marketing lists, which does make you wonder why you would be out there buying marketing lists. What do
you mean?
To market
to people.
Yeah.
But you could also use that as a fundraising list.
Right.
They are quite big on global warming being a hoax.
Okay.
They made a bit of a splash in, I think, like 2007. Do you remember the Great Global Warming Swindle? Do you remember that doco?
Rings a bell, yeah.
It was a weird, controversial British doco, I think it was. Which was...
Sounds a very British name.
Well, it's the weird thing. There's this British doco, but they went all in on it. The doco was basically about how global warming was all a hoax. All of the massive scientific consensus was a hoax. There's actually heaps of scientists on the like big list of thousands of scientists who didn't even want to be on the list, but they won't take them off. Well, they can't name any.
Yeah.
And also one of the points that the doco made was actually it's the sun that's warming the planet. It's just the sun got hotter.
Yeah, and that's one that comes up as well, isn't it? Like
they're like the sun got hotter, and when the sun gets less hot, it'll cool down a bit.
So we'll do nothing.
Yeah, just don't worry about it. So the CEC went all in on that in Australia because it weirdly got broadcast on the ABC. I think this was part of the ABC's like balance.
I give everyone.
I think we've got to hear both sides.
I reckon that was about the time that they did a study on the ABC and found that it was far more right leaning in the name of balance. But it just ended up meaning they put on so much right wing crazies that it just got out of control.
So I remember there was a thing where there was some sort of thing happening in, I think it was in Melbourne, like a climate change conference, and the CEC like slipped copies of the Great Global Warming Swindle under everyone's doors at the hotels they were staying at.
Really?
But also
That's pretty well organised.
Yeah.
When they broadcast the Great Global Warming Swindle, if you think that was organised, afterwards they, I guess to like counteract the balancing that they'd done, they had to rebalance. And so they did a Q&A with Tony Jones.
Yeah.
And they got a bunch of people in to ask questions of like their panel of scientists and commentators and things. And the audience was just chock-a-block with Citizens Electoral Council members who all started asking them the most insane questions and like carried on wheeling and talking about Plato. And one of them yelled out, "This is Hitler's Nazi race science."
Wait, they're saying global warming evidence is Nazis?
Yeah.
Right. People that are on the side of the Nazis love to say, no, they're LGBTQI, they're Nazis for not letting me have my opinion. Global warming people are Nazis.
One of the other big things they're into in Australia is the Indigenous people not being the first people of Australia.
That old racist chestnut.
We've talked about that before, but yeah, basically their theory is that Rio Tinto, in collaboration with Prince Philip and the World Wildlife Fund for Nature, in concert with the Indigenous people of Australia, who famously get on very well with Prince Philip. He must have said something super cooked when he met a bunch of Indigenous people, right?
Yeah.
I think he's fun. Yeah, we're on record saying a couple of things.
That would. It's all for show though, because they were all in cahoots,
right?
So that they could sell off all of Australia's natural resources to Rio Tinto.
Is that because the Indigenous people were like, it's not ours anyway, really?
Yeah.
We found it.
We're getting a free hit.
Yeah. And yeah, their point was that they shouldn't be given any sort of reparations for genocide because they must have done a genocide too.
Yeah.
So no, their hands aren't clean.
It's weird logic.
Yeah.
Racist logic, we'll call it.
Well, where are the people before them?
Dead. They bloody burned the bones.
Yeah.
Probably.
So I guess the other main thing that the CEC did was just keep an eye on Jews.
Right.
A lot of they were not big fans of like the B'nai B'rith group and other sort of Jewish groups in Australia, and they would like spy on them.
Right.
They'd send people along to like Jewish community meetings to take notes, which is a little bit weird. One of the other big interventions in Australian politics was they convinced a Liberal MP, I think it was Ken Aldred,
right,
who I think was out Geelong way. Maybe that's just my what I think about Geelong coming through. They convinced him that there was this big Jewish conspiracy, I think along with maybe some sort of Labor Party person, to traffic drugs into Australia. And he was basing it all on these documents that the CEC had provided him with. But they're all just made up. It was, a bit of an embarrassment.
Yeah. That brings up to date with the CEC. So what was LaRouche doing, say, since the 70s?
Just running in elections and basically...
Because he's maintained a following, right?
Yeah. He basically puts out the same... It's the same sort of thing. It gets updated every now and then. It definitely got a big booster after 9/11. But basically his worldview is that the British or the Jews run everything. But specifically that the royal family is involved in like the drug trafficking trade. They did a big amount of research into... the drug trade and how it works, and went out and he sent out, a bunch of his investigators to go find out how the drug trade worked. There is a book that it suggests that he then used that information to work out how to set up a successful white-collar crime business, which is then what he did do.
Cool.
So in the late 80s, he gets arrested, and I think a bunch of them get put away by... Who?
Oh, I think a name springs to mind, but I'll let you...
Old Robert Mueller?
Oh. That bugger.
He pings them all for, I think it's like wire fraud and credit card fraud.
Yeah.
Which are, good ways to make a lot of mysterious money.
Yeah.
But making no connections.
So, and then he gets out, how long was he in prison for, do we know?
So, I think he's in prison for 5 years. I'm not entirely sure what their wire fraud was. I think they were doing something where they were sending like wire transfers, and somehow they were moving the commas.
Ah, Superman 3.
They
to a lesser extent, Office Space.
No, they weren't stealing the cents.
Okay.
They were like sending out a thing for like $100 or something.
Yeah.
Or like $1,000, and you'd move the commas and it turns into $10,000. And then they'd quickly take the money out of the bank.
Yeah.
And then the bank, a few days later, is like, hang on a second. Where'd that bloody comma go?
It's just a guy in a visor.
Yeah.
It's just all overworked.
Yeah.
Hey, what is this?
But then the guy...
Pre-computers. They didn't have computers in the 80s, you see.
Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
Just doing it by himself.
The guy with the visor pulls back his weird big calculator thing.
Yeah.
He works it out. And then they'd go to them, because they knew who got the money. They could see that they took the money out. And they'd say, give us back the money. And they said to them, no, we're not going to give you back the money. We've got the money now. You shouldn't have given us the money.
They pulled the old finders keepers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Losers weepers.
Yeah.
So I'm not 100% sure that they really got to the bottom of how to do the perfect white-collar crime.
Yeah.
Because it seems like there was a big problem where
they just keep on getting caught.
Yeah.
I like how that whole rounding off the cents thing is like a legit thing that ING are doing now. Have you seen that account that they've got?
Oh, I did see that.
Where it's like if you pay for something that's like $7.80, it just charges your card $8, and they take that 20 cents and put it in another account for you to save up.
Yeah.
So it's like it rounds all of your transactions up
like
to the next
$7.99 $7.99 or something. It'll do it for $7.99.
It'll do it for $8.
Yeah, it'll do it for $8. And you
but put that 1 cent aside. So it's not like it's not taking the cents that are rounding down and putting them somewhere. It's rounding all your transactions up.
So you're doing a Superman 3 on yourself, essentially.
Yeah.
And to a lesser extent, Office Space.
But if I was paying with...
But the other way around, it's like every transaction you make, you're saving... You're not technically saving anything. You're paying more for everything, but...
You're just starting a little
the difference is being saved somewhere else for you.
That's pretty good.
But is it...
Seems kind of cool.
I would have still had that money.
Yeah, but you
Well,
would have
you do,
just
but it's
wasted
just
on
in another account.
You just sort of wasted on like you've frittered it away on flippant things, Cam. I know.
So
what
if you
like.
buy like 10 things a day that cost you $5.60, that's like $4 that gets 40 cents 10 times. Yeah, $4 has been shunted away into like this little account. You have also paid $24 for something rather than $20.
But it's been saving a big part of savings, those little bits and pieces that you just, you don't consider.
Yeah.
It's like keeping a little coin jar in your house, but now you don't have coins as much.
It'd be good if you're one of those people that likes to have your bank balance at a round number.
Yeah.
You just feel
Because, now that we're going cashless, the days of those coin jar, this is essentially the coin jar.
Yeah.
You pay $5 for something $4.50.
You chuck your change
50
in
cents in the
thing.
coin jar. I just mansplained the ING account back to you.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't get it. It seems like it's to counteract those things where, like the investment mob that do that. There's like an app you can get where it like rounds off those bits and then puts it in some
Into shares.
Into shares.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think both of those are kind of cool ideas.
Yeah. Why do you hate them both, Cam?
Well, I don't hate any of them, although
Because I wouldn't miss a couple of few cents a day.
Yeah.
That share thing's super dodgy.
If it was
careful with that.
going to some investment.
I think I hate the idea of random shares. I want to manage my own portfolio.
I would prefer an expert to do it because that I am not.
Yes.
The share thing is very dodgy, though.
Yeah, well, you say that.
You guys heard of the Bitcoin thing?
Some of the other stuff they did in the 80s, the LaRouche movement, they got... Again, it's not entirely clear how involved they were with Reagan's Star Wars program, the Strategic Defense Initiative. They say they were very involved.
If you were doing a Star Wars, I don't think you'll want to invite the LaRouchians in.
Well, because they were big into lasers. So they had that fusion
It was
thing.
the 80s, everyone was.
Yeah. And smoke machine.
Yeah.
They had that fusion thing, which did attract a lot of like legitimate scientists.
Okay.
Because I think one of the things that they were doing was advocating that laser scientists should get paid huge amounts of money. So all of these laser scientists were like, these guys have got the right idea about a lot of stuff. Apparently the Russians were quite convinced that
there we go.
that LaRouche was legit part of Star Wars.
Okay.
There's all of these stories about like Donald Rumsfeld having dinner with Russian officials, and they're like, "Oh, that LaRouche guy, hey?" He's like, "What, the crazy man?" And they're like, "No, the laserman." Again, it's not entirely clear how actually involved they were. I think they were a little bit involved. In these things, they had connections with like high up people in the Republican Party. They didn't do a huge amount else in the 80s. They got involved in the AIDS crisis. They had their own sort of response to it.
Okay. I'm going to guess it wasn't pro safe sex and education for homosexuals?
No, they had the idea that AIDS could be spread like by mosquitoes.
Okay.
And so they were like, we've got to do something about all of these AIDS people.
Was mosquito a code word for Jew?
If it wasn't, not as cooked as I thought. their take on it was like mosquitoes, blood.
You can
HIV.
understand.
Yeah.
And I guess the other big thing that they did in the late 80s before it all went a little bit wrong was they really went all in for something we've talked about before, which is the tuning of instruments.
Oh, yeah.
So in our episode about... What was that episode about?
I don't even remember.
I can't remember how we would have named that. The episode about frequencies.
I've since changed the naming policy of these podcasts to just
to be more relevant,
to saying exactly what it is rather than a fun little in joke.
Yeah. So if you recall, there's a few theories out there that are when instruments are tuned to different hertzes, it has an effect on.
I think the plural of hertz is herzogs.
It can have an effect on your emotional stability. So there are some people who are very insistent, and LaRouche was one of them, that 432 hertz is what you should be tuning your instruments to. And they managed to get some legislation into the Italian parliament to enforce a 432 hertz tuning. It didn't get up, unfortunately. But I think Pavarotti and a few other big Italian names got on board.
Okay.
But very big on the 432 hertz. I was watching some CEC Channel 31 TV today, and they've got a little musical sting at the start.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if this is tuned properly. And then I tried to find out how you can find out whether something's tuned properly. I don't think you can.
Well, I'm sure there is a way of knowing.
No. I know what the way isn't. Is this guy
asking me?
Is asking Salty.
This whole mentioning that is just a build up to just rag on Salty.
Well, Salty, you sent me
you did it off mic already as well.
Salty, you sent me a video that was called "How to Tell If Something Is Tuned to 432 Hertz," and it was this guy sitting in a room. And he's like, "All right, I'm gonna play 2 bits of music, one of which is tuned to 432 hertz, and one of which is tuned to 440.
No.
Oh.
What he did was, what he did made sense, really. He just wasn't doing what he said he was going to do in the video.
No.
He had a bit of music that he had recorded tuned at 432, and then he had a guitar that he had also tuned to 432, and he played along with it, and it sounded fine. And then he had a guitar that was
tuned. It didn't sound fine, though.
It did. The first thing he played was all right. Then he had another second guitar that was tuned to standard,
440.
normal 440 tuning. And when he played along to the song, it sounded shit and out of tune. Which is like everything. If something's tuned, if you there's a song that's in the key of D and you start playing shit in the key of F, it's going to sound crap.
Yeah.
So the way of knowing is play a piece of music and play an instrument that's tuned to 432 along with it, and if it sounds okay.
So you could have played that music, strummed your guitar, worked out how it sounded.
But the song he was playing was like some electronic music song.
His own song too, by the way.
And he was playing an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And it didn't sound... there was no real connection between what he was playing on the guitar and the music.
No, but the chords sounded in tune.
It was just like if you'd played the Police Academy 2 theme over the top of the Star Trek The Next Generation theme.
Yeah.
You'd be like, these go together.
They're quite similar.
But they're not the same.
But they're not the same thing. Yeah.
Very similar, though.
But then the other guitar he played was like an electric guitar.
Yeah.
I think he was just playing worse as well. It didn't give me any answers about whether they were sticking to their own thing.
Yeah.
Pavarotti in 432. God, that'd be uplifting, wouldn't it? He'd just be fucking pumped after that. Those big pipes of his.
440 is an A.
Yeah, okay. 432 is just a note.
Well, the thing is that I think isn't the thing that A used to be 432? That's what used to be a standard A. Was 432. They changed it to 440.
We're getting too woke.
Because I can't remember what we talked about in that episode as to the reason why they changed it to 440.
Yeah.
But yeah, he also he made some comments about the Beatles.
All right.
They were a product of British. They were a British psyop.
Yeah.
Sent out there
to introduce rock and roll, the dissonant music.
Domingo also got on board.
Right.
But he was like, I didn't know they hated Jews. I just thought it'd be nice if things sounded better. Mamma mia.
So Pavarotti was all about 432. Big supporter.
Yeah.
You can listen to a lot of his stuff at 432 on the old YouTube.
Right.
Might do that later on.
So yeah, he gets out of jail, and then I think the 90s, which is he was a bit quiet after he got out, which is a bit of a shame from him. Because like the rest of the world, I think maybe had carried on without him. The militia movement and people that would have been quite on board with the sort of thing he was putting out there. But yeah, 9/11 definitely represented a bit of a resurgence. They were out there saying that it was a royal family job, the British royals, but also the Saudis, which is fair.
Yep. The latter, very fair, yes.
Yeah, so it's another one of the weird things about the LaRouche people is because they are cooked.
Mm.
And so when he says the British royals and the Saudi royals did 9/11, it's like, well, that's almost true.
Mm.
There was
again at the ballot box, Homer Simpson.
Yeah. There was also I saw an article about the CEC in Australia where they were talking about blue poles being a psyop, and talking about like the CIA being behind modern art. I was like, hang on a second.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, they went behind modern art.
Yeah.
They just pushed it a lot.
Yeah. And they definitely were behind, pushing whatever created blue poles. Like that's a direct result of their influence.
Yeah.
Was blue poles created to like brainwash you when you're looking at it? Maybe not.
Mm.
But it's like, well, that's true. The CIA did create modern art.
Well, they didn't create modern art.
They promoted it incredibly.
Yeah. And then Trump comes into power, fast forward, and these guys are all just on board with that. And obviously who turns up and starts having a look at Trump is their friend Bobby Mueller.
Yeah.
Who they hate.
Look, can I just Mandela
Busy
effect
man.
something for a second? Mueller, was he...
Mueller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think...
I've been hearing Mueller heaps lately. I'm sure
think-
people used to always say
I think
Mueller.
we just kind of all agreed that that's how people are saying it in the US.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
how we just started saying it. Cam led the charge here.
Yeah.
I held out until probably 20 minutes ago.
Okay.
I started dropping in. Just,
Right.
Yeah. So now you're on board.
Okay,
Let's
Mueller,
just
yeah.
edit that bit out. Listen doesn't know anything's changed.
Yeah. Has he got umlauts on his youth?
I think it should be Mueller. But, I mean...
The Americans know what they're talking about.
There is...
I heard Michael Moore calling him Mueller. That's good enough for me.
Michael Moore. As much as I...
What does Macklemore call him?
So I was listening to a podcast. It's called LaRouche Pack, which is a group of LaRouche fans. And I thought I just scrolled through and found a couple. They're pretty regular. But they were LaRouche fireside chats. And I figured that'd be chats with him. So I'm like, oh, that'll be the good gear.
Yeah.
But it turns out they were chats with just the people that are his supporters around.
Yeah. I think they'd correctly determined that a senile Lyndon LaRouche is not something people needed to hear from.
Yeah. One lady, though, so it's all, people around America just having a, hey, I'm so-and-so, and this is LaRouche Fireside. Today we're going to talk about, and the one I listened to, they were talking about Mueller, the Mueller case and how it related to the Brits. I didn't get up to the British stuff, but the lady
behind it.
Yeah. The lady that I was listening to that was on it was saying, she was talking about Mueller and getting people for what she calls weenie crimes, so process crimes, not real crimes.
Right.
And the way
Weenie as in small,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
as in dinger.
maybe both, I think.
Not doing a crime.
But like the way that he gets people is they might have done a crime that they didn't know was a crime, or they might have done a crime and no one realised it was a crime at the time, so they got away with it. And then when they get caught by Mueller, who's going through all these crimes that they're committing, then they lie to him to, just reduce their sentence because they didn't know it was a crime.
Yeah.
And then they get done for more because they get caught lying. So really, it's his fault.
Mm.
That was their logic.
Okay.
I didn't really make it any further than that. I just thought that was kind of fun. That's all I had.
Yeah.
That's it.
There's a few other things. I couldn't find any... This is something that I always knew about LaRouche and the LaRouche people that I couldn't really find anywhere when I went looking for it. Maybe I could have looked a little bit harder. I always remembered that one of their things was a global train... Just a global train, just a big train that goes around the world.
Well, yeah, so they
wanted a big snowpiercer.
So the British were preventing a global rail network, and the Queen specifically, in order to keep her control over the traditional travel networks where all the drugs were run through. So the Queen had the grip, and a global rail network like a Snowpiercer, didn't really enjoy that movie, thought it was horrible.
Did you?
Yeah, I have so many problems with that movie.
I haven't seen it.
Terrible. Don't worry.
All right.
Is it about a train that goes around the world?
Yeah, I guess everyone left is on this train.
Yeah, it's great.
Ah, okay.
You should check it out.
So everyone left in the world is on the train?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone else died.
But like, it's dumb because they like have to get to the front of the train.
Yeah.
And
Just like in a real train.
And but
is that because that's where the upper class is?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
But like some of the carriages are like rave carriages.
Yeah, like on a real train.
Right.
Like where are these people sleeping and shitting that are in the rave?
They're just pinging.
Yeah,
the whole time.
it's just weird. And the logistics of this train
Like on a real train.
the logistics of this train were flawed from the start, and it made me really unhappy.
Oh, I've got to go to the bathroom, but I'm on the rave carriage. Oh, another pinger, thanks. Tighten up that old sphincter.
Yeah, so the Queen was stopping this Snowpiercer situation.
Right.
Maybe she hates raves. Maybe she controls the raves.
Yeah. Was there a big reveal at the end of Snowpiercer that they were just going around in a circle? A little circle?
And then it gets panned out and there's a tiny kid going, woo, playing with... No.
No?
No. If it was, I wouldn't tell you. I don't want to spoil the movie for you.
Right. But you're also telling me that it's rubbish and I shouldn't watch it.
Yeah, lowering your expectations because everyone raves about it.
Okay.
Is that it? Are we done?
Yeah, I mean, that's about it. I mean, I guess, yeah, the thing about LaRouche is, rest in peace. What a bloody great bloke. No, the thing about LaRouche is, I guess he's a little bit of a punchline, especially for the British stuff. I think we shouldn't forget his great contribution to anti-Semitism, of which he contributed quite a bit.
Right.
One last thing that he contributed was a lot of like the recent cultural Marxism scare. He was sort of at the forefront of that stuff. The Frankfurt School conspiracy theory, that there's this like economic school conspiracy, which did lead into the cultural Marxism stuff. We're going to have to get Jason Wilson on to correct us on everything that we've said today.
So Jason Wilson, right after The Guardian, I think he might be working on a story about this.
Yeah. I did see on Twitter he said that he had more books by Lyndon LaRouche than he had by any other writer.
Very learned on the subject.
Yeah, so he can at us and come on the show and correct us.
Yeah. Are we scooping him right now?
No,
I don't think so.
No one else out there at us. Don't want to hear your bullshit.
So, but the thing is, it's the punchline is, it's the Queen's a drug trafficker. But the real thing he's saying is the Jews are doing all of this, and
because I've been going, you know how they have people that just love the monarchy, they dress up. I've been trying to hit them up for my pingers.
Yeah,
I should be going
to
to like my local. What's the
Republicans?
No, my local. Where do Jews pray?
The synagogue. At the synagogue.
At the synagogue.
Yeah.
To get my pingers.
Oh yeah, you've been hitting up Prince Philip.
Yeah. I just see someone with like a British flag and I love Princess Di. I'm like, oh shit, okay, what you got? They're like, I don't know what's going on.
So yeah, a big part of the LaRouche ideology is just basically the Nazi weird racial science and like the weird stuff like the Atlanteans and the Jews having this pernicious influence throughout history, through the Babylonians and through the Persians and eventually through the British, and that there are these other races that he doesn't say Aryans, but he's talking about the Aryans that have been kept down and that they've had to retreat to the north. It's like Vril Society stuff. Well, not Vril Society. It's like a Thule Society stuff. But it is funny to say that the Queen's a drug trafficker.
Yeah. Also of note on the show, Cam just dropped in the word pernicious, just like that.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed. Good vocabulary.
Thanks, mate. That's good. Now, if you'd said pernicious, imagine the roasting you'd be getting right now. For your bloody $10 word.
I could drop a pernicious any day I wanted.
I don't even know what it means.
Invasive. Creeping. It's probably a good.
Right.
Yep.
So anyway, Lyndon LaRouche dead.
Rotten hell, you bugger.
Yeah, another one for the bloody body pile.
Yeah. Killing off those old crusties.
Yeah.
so the youngies can rise up.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Hillary.
Yeah, so have you
She did it right, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Did you see any QAnon stuff about this? I did see someone saying the timing of this surely has to be concerning them.
I haven't, but QAnon as a whole is very fractured.
Yeah.
There are many, many crossovers with QAnon and these guys in terms of a lot of their theories are exactly the same. But I don't think QAnon as a group right now has its shit together enough to have a communal voice.
Right.
My prediction of QAnon for president in 2020 still could come true, but it's looking less and less likely. Where do people find us on the internet?
You can find us at lyndonlarouche.no. You can find us at hypotheticalinstitute.com, hypothepod.com,
cookedunits.com.
Yep,
Right.
bit of merch. We're on Patreon at patreon.com/hypothepod. You can also find us on all of your podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store, Spotify,
Pocket Casts,
Stitcher.
Yep.
Jeez, look, are you in the pocket of Big Pocket Casts?
I don't know what. I just know that that's a thing. So I say it.
Robbo, where can they find you?
You can get me at aleofatime, aleofatime.com. That's about it. Oh, the latest Froth magazine.
What?
Next time you're going past your like local craft beer bar, stick your head in and say, "You got that latest Froth magazine?"
Yep.
I'm in there.
Yeah.
Is it a freebie?
Yeah.
What?
Little street press.
Are you wearing a little Hypothepod pin in your
Wearing
photo?
a Hypothepod pin. Wearing a pink suit.
Yep.
And
Holding a little skull.
called a beer legend. No big deal.
Oh, is anyone razzing you about this besides us?
Everyone's very much... You've retweeted. I'm assuming that was a retweet and support.
Yeah.
Salty, where did people find you?
I was opening it up to a wider audience. Like shit on you.
You can get me at Saltmarsh on Instagram, Andrew Saltmarsh Illustration on Facebook. I'm selling a bunch of illustrated related stuff on Society 6 at the moment.
Really cool.
Thank you.
The
little monsters and stuff.
Yeah, they're great.
And yeah, check out Toehutter on Patreon.
Nice.
And you can find me twitter.com/Sexenheimer. Gather around me for iTunes and Facebook for my other podcast.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Don't worry about a thing, except if all our world leaders are alien reptilians. I said don't worry about a thing, except maybe the fluoride in our water supply contains mind-altering drugs. Don't worry about a thing, except whether or not Port Arthur was a false flag operation in which to disarm Australia. I said don't worry about a thing. Except you can definitely hear John Lennon say I buried Paul at the end of Strawberry Fields Forever. Ooh, don't worry about a thing. Except not only did Bush do 9/11, but he also keeps the planes out in Area 51, which, let's not forget, where all of the aliens are. Don't worry about a thing. Except Donald Trump is clearly a woman, and you're just blind if you can't see that. Why don't you open your eyes?